Hello, this is Sondra, Oster, Baras, bringing you a few words of Bible from the heart of Biblical Israel. This week's Torah portion is Bo, and we're reaching the end of our saga. At the end of this week's Torah portion, indeed, Pharaoh will release the nation. It will have the final plague of the striking of the firstborn in all of Egypt, as a result of which Pharaoh gives in and says, okay, go. But what precedes this in this week's Torah portion, we need to go back to 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, we have God setting forth this ultimate plan to Moses. And he says as follows, and this is in chapter 4. You shall say to Pharaoh, so says the Lord, my firstborn Israel. And I say to you, send out my son so that he may worship me. And he will refuse to send him out. Therefore, I will kill your firstborn son. This is God telling Moses exactly what he should say to Pharaoh. And really, though, at the very end of this whole series of 10 plagues, only at the end do we get to this killing of his firstborn. But this is set forth at the beginning, before any of the plagues start, that he is supposed to say to Pharaoh, number one, that Israel is his firstborn, okay? And so we have a parallel going on here. Israel is my firstborn. You have held my firstborn captive. Release my firstborn. If you do not release my firstborn, I will take your firstborn. It's a very parallel kind of situation. What's interesting, though, is every time we actually see Moses and Aaron standing before Pharaoh and saying to him, let my people go, he never says, God said, they are my firstborn, let his firstborn go. Let his son go. God has said, so saith the Lord, let my firstborn go. At every single point, Moses will say, so saith the Lord, let my people go. Not my child, not my son, not my firstborn son, my people. Okay? And of course, it makes sense because the children of Israel are already a nation, and we're talking about a nation that it has been enslaved by another nation. And so clearly, at that level, it's a nation versus nation kind of thing. And firstborn sons don't really, it's a little too personal, perhaps it's a little too petty. But we have to keep in mind what God initially said. Firstborn son versus firstborn son. And how do we see that come to play at the end? Of course, we see the fact that there is that striking of the firstborn son in our Torah portion in chapter 12. In the middle of the night, God struck all the firstborns in the land of Egypt, from the firstborn of Pharaoh, who is sitting on his throne, to the firstborn of the lowest prisoner who was sitting in prisoner, and every firstborn of the animal. Okay? And of course, he gets up. Pharaoh in the middle of the night, there is no house that doesn't have someone dead. And at that point he says, get out of here. He says, leave you from within my nation, you and all the children of Israel, go worship God as you have asked. And when he says, come and leave from within my nation, that is the parallel to let my nation go, let my people go. You want your people to go. Your people is set within my people. I want my people to absorb your people. I want my people to enslave your people. And now that has been reversed. You have struck all my people, says Pharaoh. Therefore, take your people and leave. So it's a people versus people conversation. And so, but where do we go back to the children? Where do we go back to the firstborn son and that kind of imagery? And here I think the imagery is not so much for Pharaoh's ears as for the nation's ears. And we see that at the end of our Torah portion in chapter 13. First of all, we have all this instruction about a firstborn human being, a firstborn animal, and the firstborns are dedicated to the Lord unless they are redeemed. And we have this instruction about that in chapter 13. And then we have very interesting, after all this laws, we have in verse 14, and it will come to pass where your son will ask you tomorrow, what is all this about? Now, the context here is the rules having to do with the firstborn. And so it's the son saying, why are we doing this firstborn stuff? Okay, that's the context. And what does the parent answer? You will answer them, because with a strong arm, the Lord took us out of Egypt from a house of slavery. And when Pharaoh was too stubborn to send us out, to release us, God, the Lord, killed all the firstborns in the land of Egypt, from the firstborn of the humans to the firstborns of the animal. Therefore, the father is saying to his son, therefore I am now sacrificing to the Lord the firstborn, or dedicating to the Lord the firstborn of all the males, and the firstborn of my son I will redeem. Okay? So we have this connection that the father himself makes in talking to his child, that there is a connection between the fact that God killed all the firstborns and the fact that as a result the firstborns of the nation of Israel become dedicated to the Lord. They have a special status. Okay? So in that sense, then, this becomes the actualization of this idea that the nation of Israel is the firstborn. Not just the nation of Israel is the firstborn, but every firstborn in Israel will become dedicated to the Lord in one way or another. And we have this amazing connection. But we have to always go back to that wonderful statement that God first makes to Moses in chapter 4. My firstborn son, Israel. Everything here, the exodus from Egypt, the relationship between the father and son in Israel, the telling of the tale from father to son, is all coming. The main theme here that has to be conveyed is that from the beginning, God has designated the nation of Israel as his firstborn child. And everything else comes from that. Firstborn, it's dedicated, it's important, it's the elite, it's a designated group of people that have this special relationship with God, that of a firstborn son. Have a wonderful weekend. Shabbat Shalom.
I hope you enjoyed that film. And we have lots more film content and emails and articles that I'm sure you will enjoy as well. Check out our website at CFOIC.com and subscribe to our newsletter. You can do that right from the homepage. I know you will really enjoy the content that will land in your inbox on a regular basis. Hope to see you soon.